Would you pay for a web browser is a question that many of you probably have never really thought about, but it is a question being asked by the Brave browser team. Now originally, and I'm very happy they didn't go through with this because it would be a terrible idea, they were discussing the idea of a subscription. Would you subscribe to a web browser? The answer to that is probably no. Thankfully, they decided, bad idea, let's instead do a one-time purchase. You buy it, and you're good. And now, Brave Origin has officially launched. Today, we have launched the community-requested Brave Origin, an optional paid version of our browser that offers Brave's leading privacy protections and ad blocker without its extra features. Origin is live now on desktop and Android, and coming soon to iOS. Stated since launch, there is no activation limit, so you can just buy it once and then activate across all of your devices with a singular license. There is a monthly limit on activation, so you can't just go and activate 100 different devices, but if you got like, a phone, a PC, a laptop, I don't know, a tablet, something else, you could then just go and activate all of them, and at this stage, this is one time forever. It's not one time, and then after X number of updates, you gotta pay again. And this here is Brave Origin. It's Brave. It's a web browser. It's Brave. I'll explain what you're paying for in just a moment. Firstly, if you want to go and get it, there are two separate ways to do so. Firstly is the Brave Origin download page. If we go to buy Brave Origin license, scroll down to the bottom here, it is a $60 purchase. We'll talk more about that in just a moment, but down the bottom here, Origin is free to use on Linux devices, but still available for purchase for those who'd like to support Brave financially. Purchasing would also unlock the ability to use Origin on other devices like your Android and iOS phones and other desktop devices. But because we're on Linux, we can just go to the download page, and you do have this option, curl into a shell, which is everybody's favorite thing. I've talked about this many times. I am not a fan of this system, but it's still a standard. If you don't want to do that, though, because you don't want to do that, there is another option. On Debian, Ubuntu, and Mint, there is a repo you can add. On Fedora, there is a repo you can add. On Atomic Desktops as well, you have that. On OpenSUSE, you have that. And also, there is an AUR package. And this AUR package, along with everything else here, is officially run by the Brave project. All that's for the release version. If you want to run beta or nightly, there are also separate install options for those as well. Me being on Arch, I just installed the AUR package. I just have the regular release version. I don't really care about running a nightly browser. That's all well and good, but what are you actually getting for your 60 American dollars? So in Australia, that would be something like 75, something like that. I also don't believe there is regional pricing, so for a lot of people out there, this is a really expensive browser to purchase. What are you actually getting for your money? Or if you're on Linux, your theoretical money, because on Linux, it basically acts more like a donation. You don't actually have to buy it. Well, if we go back to the browser, it's Brave, but less Brave. Let me explain. Brave Origin is basically taking Brave the browser and then stripping out a lot of the bloat, a lot of the extra features, and then just giving you a basic web browser. So you're effectively paying to have Brave, but there to be less features you don't want. Specifically, features affected by Brave Origin. Email aliases, which are only available in nightly on desktop anyway, Leo AI, which is the Brave AI, their newsfeed, their playlist, which was currently only on iOS anyway, Brave Rewards, which also disables browser-based Brave ads. It doesn't disable the ad blocker. That is still like a core part of Brave. This is a big thing a lot of people did not like about Brave. A lot of people are not crypto fans, didn't want that there. So Brave Origin doesn't have any of that. Disables the speed reader, which a lot of people feel like is a weird thing to disable. Stats like daily usage ping, crash logs, and privacy-preserving product analytics. Talk, they had integration with Jitsi, I believe. Tor, their Tor integration wasn't great, so a lot of people didn't use it anyway. The Brave VPN, Brave Wallet, which also disables Web3 domains, their Wayback Machine integration, and the Web Discovery project. Now, all of these get removed in the Brave Origin download. This has all of that code stripped out. It's not compiled into the browser to the best of my knowledge. But what if you wanted some of these features? Let's say you wanted the news feed, you wanted the speed reader, you wanted the VPN, or you wanted wallet or rewards, or any of these features here. What can you do then? Well, for that, you can use the alternative version of getting Brave Origin. In the regular Brave client, in the settings, under System, there is another option at the bottom called Brave Origin. I have already gone and enabled this in my version of Brave, so the setting isn't there, but if you go on Linux and just enable the feature, or if you're on Windows or any other platform, go and actually pay for the license, then you can enable Brave Origin in your regular version of Brave. And what this does is adds a new setting into the list here, Brave Origin. So all of those features are still compiled into the browser, but now you have the option to pick and choose which ones you want. If you go and change any of these, it is going to require a restart of the browser, but let's say I want the Leo AI. Let's relaunch. And up here, there we go. The AI is now back. Personally, I don't really care about any of these features, so for me, having them all gone is totally fine. This distinction wasn't really that well explained by Brave. I kind of only worked it out by messing around with things and reading what people are writing about. So the regular Brave Origin client, this is the dedicated client. This does not have the Brave Origin settings because none of those features are compiled into the browser. If you convert a regular Brave install into Brave Origin, you will have the option to enable the features you want. So if you want more customization, this is the better option to go with. If you want none of the features, just use Brave Origin. If for whatever reason you have Brave Origin enabled in the regular client and you want to go and disable it, what you can do is go to the Brave flags and then set Enable Brave Origin back to false or back to disabled and then relaunch it. And if we go back to the settings now, where's the settings? There it is. Now we don't have Brave Origin in the list. It doesn't re-add it back into the system here. So if you want to go and re-enable it from this point, go back to the flags and then enable it and you're good to go. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but if for some reason you want to, you can. Also, whilst the flag does exist in the Brave Origin client, disabling it doesn't do anything because those features are not enabled in the browser anyway, so you can disable it and pretend to not be Brave Origin, but you won't get the functionality back. Those features are just not in the browser. Whilst it is literally just Brave, I did have some weird launch issues with Brave Origin. For some reason, the first 5 or so launches, it kept bugging me about making it the default browser. I'm not doing that. I'm still using Florp. Go away. And then every time, it would bug me again and again and again. Eventually, it just stopped doing that. I don't know why. I still don't know why. But besides that, it's just Brave with less of the Brave stuff. One thing you might be wondering is, why is it free on Linux? Well, in the FAQ, they explain exactly that. It is basically free because they couldn't compete in that market. Some Linux distros already offer a version of Brave that's similar to Origin, where various features are turned off. We are making Origin free to all Linux users so that Brave can offer a consistent user experience across these distros. Basically, some distros out there were effectively debloating Brave, and they couldn't really then charge people who were already getting the exact same product because they were late to the game. So you know what? Just have it, because there's no point charging anyway. On that note, there are a bunch of debloating scripts available for Windows and macOS as well. You can find those on GitHub. Just look up Brave debloating. You'll find 100 of them. So even if you don't want to pay for it on Windows and macOS, you can still get the same functionality anyway. Now, the big question becomes, would you actually pay for a web browser? Does Brave Origin make any sense? And especially, does it make sense at 60 American dollars? If you're on Linux and you already use Brave, there is literally zero reason to not enable Brave Origin. If you don't want some of the functionality, you can just go and disable the functionality and be about your day. If you want none of the functionality, use the Brave Origin dedicated client, and it's just that. Is this going to get anyone to swap over to Brave? No. But if you're already using Brave, it's just slightly better Brave. So, you might as well. But as for other platforms, you are being asked to pay 60 American dollars for Brave, minus all of the garbage they decided to add to Brave that you didn't want and that you weren't using. So, effectively, you're paying $60 for a Chromium-based browser with a working ad blocker with a bunch of bloat removed from it. This, to me, becomes a considerably harder sell. Again, if you already liked Brave, you already used Brave, and you want to donate to the project and you treat it like a donation, I think that's fine and that's easy enough to justify. If you're looking at it, though, as a purchase of a product, you're effectively paying $60 for a version of the thing that is less bad than they originally made it, that they actively chose to make that way. Again, I don't think anyone is swapping to Brave because of Brave Origin, but if there are people that want to support the project, clearly people are already buying it, so again, if you treat it like a donation, I can see it making sense. But if you want effectively Brave Origin, but you don't want to pay for it, there are other options out there as well. There is Vivaldi, there is the Helium browser, these are just the Chromium-based ones. There are Firefox-based browsers out there as well that fit basically the exact same description. It just ultimately seems like a weird proposition. You're pretty much just paying to make it suck less, right? That's what you're paying for. It is a fee to get rid of the garbage you didn't want in the first place. If you're on Linux, it's a no-brainer. If you're anywhere else, I'll leave that up to you individually. Again, I'm pretty sure there is no regional pricing, so for a lot of people, it's just not going to be affordable whatsoever. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down below. Have you bought Brave Origin? Would you consider buying Brave Origin? Or would you never pay for a web browser? I would like to know. So, let me know down below. If you liked the video, go like the video. Go subscribe as well. And if you really liked the video and you want to become one of these amazing people over here, check out the Patreon, subscribe to Daily Pay, linked in the description down below. That's going to be it for me, and are you brave enough?
Something.